64-yarder is the most recent of some unfortunate luck the Giants have faced. It's the third 60-yarder they've faced as time expired, and all were made. It's the same number as every other team in the NFL history combined. 60-yarders as time expires against teams that aren't the Giants are just 3 for 41.
We got playmakers at every position. We're just getting started. Once we really get going and get it all gelled together, it's going to be scary. Appreciate it.
You know, a lot of penalties. You know, I think they got us for 12 and them for 14. So we got to look at that. Special team stuff is unacceptable. We're not going to let that happen. So we got to look at those, and we got to play with better hands. But it speaks to the type of culture we've built.
Anything to Brandon Aubrey coming off the field?
Yeah, I thanked him. I think I even gave him a kiss on the forehead. Like, hell yeah. Thank that guy.
That was a tough one. Battled back and forth. You know, guys left it all out on the field. And it's a tough result.
A kiss on the forehead, Aubrey, he deserved that one. Coach Herm Edwards joins us right now. And Coach, what a wild ride, but what stood out most to you about that matchup?
Well, think about this. You know, we've been hearing whispers about Russell Wilson, right? Maybe Russell Wilson, if the Giants lose, Russell Wilson might get replaced. Russell Wilson balled out today. I mean, he was unbelievable. It was an incredible football game. It's just sad that somebody had to lose. Both these teams, I thought, did an excellent job offensively. Now, defensively, that's where the problem lies for both these teams. They couldn't stop anybody. It was whoever had the ball last was going to win, and the Dallas Cowboys won a game that they needed to win at home, but it was a fabulous game to watch on television.
Yeah, definitely an interesting matchup between those two teams, Ryan.
Yeah, incredible. And you know what? I got to say, Wilson maybe survives for another day. We shall see. But the Jalen Hurts doesn't have a flashy stat line. But once again, he gets it done against Mahomes and the Chiefs. As a matter of fact, he's just the second quarterback to beat Mahomes in 3 straight meetings, joining only Joe Burrow in that company. Philly has now won 18 of their last 19 overall. Tim Hasselbeck now in with us to talk about this one. Tim, what stood out to you today from the Super Bowl rematch?
You know, I think it was Philadelphia's defense. It was tough sledding. You know, the stat line wasn't great on either side for either quarterback. And when you do that to the Kansas City Chiefs and you really think about, you know, the long heave that you just had in the highlight to Thornton for the touchdown, really held the Chiefs to 10 points throughout the game. I think that, you know, was a huge factor in the game. Another factor in the game, quite honestly, is this tush-push. I think it was called 5 times in the football game today. Obviously, the Eagles pretty successful with it, one of them being a touchdown, a few, you know, important conversions. And so I think when you look at, you know, kind of those elements and the difference they made in the football game, I think it's a pretty big deal.
Coach, this Chiefs team, they dropped to 0-2 for the first time since 2014. How concerned are you about this Chiefs team now heading into the season?
Well, I'm concerned in this sense. Their division is better. The Chargers are a good football team. The Denver Broncos are a good football team. And by the way, the team with the patch on their eye, the Raiders, the Raiders are much improved. So all of a sudden, this is not a division where the Chiefs can just kind of, you know, just run away with it. It's going to be very competitive. And now you think about the Chiefs, they haven't won a game in quite some time. They have lost 3 in a row when you go back to the Super Bowl. So they've got to get it together. I think they're still a good football team. But this division now all of a sudden becomes very interesting.
Yeah, not often you see the Chiefs starting 0-2. All right, guys, thanks so much. By the way, new on SportsCenter, Andy Reid is at the podium talking about the rematch.
All right, as far as the injuries go, Mike Dana tweaked his left quad, and Fulton tweaked his ankle there. We'll just see how that is going forward. I'll take full responsibility for that game. Probably stayed too aggressive on that, and that's my responsibility. I thought my guys played their tail off and played hard and aggressive football, and they stuck together throughout the game, and they'll pay for us down the road when as we continue to grow. I thought the fans were unbelievable. They were great. Everybody stayed and kept us going. There were some good things within all of it. I thought defensively we played really solid football. We had short fields at times, and the guys took care of business there. Obviously, on the offensive side, we can't have the turnover. Again, I've got to dial up something different than that. But I thought Thornton played all the way through everything. It was great to see him get a big catch there, pat on the long throw. Kelsey had a nice day with the completions. I know he's upset at the last one, but we keep rolling here. And
Eagles win it 20-17 against KC. Here's Saquon Barkley at the podium.
Everyone's big, you know what I mean? It's hard to come here and win here. We played a great team, a great defense, and we knew it was going to be a dogfight, and we got the win. That's one thing that matters.
Can you talk about your guys' ability to convert third and short, fourth and short, and Jalen hitting passes to convert first downs?
It's big, There's a lot of teams in the league that can do that, and it puts them in bad positions. So we're a team that can do that. We have a great quarterback that not only can sneak the ball, but make plays with his legs and throw the ball in situations. And did it look pretty? Obviously, against a team like this, it's probably not going to be. But we got the job done and made plays when we had to.
How good are they?
The defense, they're pretty good. One thing about me, I'll give respect when it's due for sure. And I tip my hat off to all those guys over there, and especially Spags.
Were they
Thank you.
crowding the box as much as they did in the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I gotta go back and watch the film.
Yeah. Did you
I know what it felt like. But I think we did a really good job of, we didn't have splash runs, but we did a good job of getting the run game going a little bit. You don't always have the big long run. We grinded and put ourselves in positions to make plays. And when the big plays came, like Smitty came up with a big one for us and got the win.
How big was using tempo on that drive that led to your touchdown?
Big. That's what we work for. You hate it in camp, but it always shows up at some point. And the conditioning that we put in, the work that we put in, showed up there and showed up throughout the whole game.
I tell you what a difference Danny Dimes has made for the Colts. It's Indy's first time starting a season 2-0 since 2009. That's the second longest active drought in the NFL, ahead of only the Browns. For what it's worth, the Colts went to the Super Bowl in that 2009 season.
Maybe a little bit of foreshadowing right there. Tim Hasselbeck still here with us. Tim, that's a 2-0 start for the Colts with Daniel Jones. Why have they been so successful?
Well, look, they're playing good defense. They're running the football well. But Daniel Jones has been the difference. And, look, I think it requires some courage to do what the organization did by admitting in the offseason that they were bringing in competition, real competition, for Anthony Richardson. And they did it in the form of Daniel Jones. He goes for over 300 yards in the game today. He's not had a ton of 300-yard passing games in his career, but he definitely has a good feel. They've got good, personnel around him. Ty Warren, the rookie out of Penn State, has been good in the passing game. Alec Pierce has been good down the field. Josh Downs is good working intermediate routes. And so I think when you combine that with a guy that's been seasoned a little bit and a good run game, what you see in the Colts offense has been pretty impressive through 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's had moments of greatness before in his career, and he's been showing it so far this season. All right, Tim, thank you so much. On the other side of this one, Bo Nix taking the L. He's at the podium right now. This is new on SportsCenter.
I just missed. Thought we ran the ball well. Our line did really good. Came out the game, 3 straight runs, ran it right at him, and I thought our backs ran the ball well. We were able to get first downs on the run game and first downs, and that was really good to see. I think that just opened up a few other things on those longer drives, and when it looked like we were moving down the field, it was really smooth because of the run game. Well, he played well. He was everywhere. Played, with great effort, and I think it's goes to show him, just from his practice, man. He practices really hard. He shows up every day. He gets his timing down. He runs and he shows up and he just practices really hard. So it's good to see him have a day like that. I mean, we've seen that. I've seen that from him for as long as I've known him, and then he's starting to do really well for this organization, and he's starting to look like his college self again, and happy for him, and it all goes to his work. And man, he's working really hard, he's practicing really hard, and it showed up in the game today.
What can you tell us about Joe Burrow's status?
Nothing right now, to be truthful with you. We got such a tight game. I didn't get all the information yet, so again, I know where to start for me right now.
Do you know what happened?
No.
Obviously, it's like you think you're gonna be sitting on the sideline, then you get thrown in, and that can kind of create like an emotional jump and try to ride that wave and just operate. Honestly, easier to stay locked in as the backup than the third string practice squad guy, so it's actually a little bit easier. There's actually a chance of playing.
Yeah, Browning did well, but Burrow is as important to his team as any player in the league, with Cincinnati taking a major hit offensively when he's not on the field. Not only do the Bengals have a losing record without Burrow, but they pass for over 50 fewer yards per game, and their scoring average dips below 20 points. Coach Herm and Tim back with us. Herm, here's the thing. Joe Burrow injury obviously puts a damper on the win. It's like the ultimate catch-22. Years of slow starts for the Bengals. They finally go 2-0, but their star quarterback's injured. What do you make of their situation?
Well, I know they're happy with their start, but I said this last week after the first game. Joe Burrow is getting hit a lot. And Tim's a quarterback, and he sees it. Whether he's getting sacked, he's getting hit. And I said that after week one. I said, Joe Burrow is going to mess around and get hurt because they have to do something to protect him when he's back throwing the football. Joe Burrow is a guy that wants to play from the pocket and throw from the pocket. And right now, he's under duress when you watch him play. Now, they got off to a great start, and I hope this toe injury doesn't keep him out too long, but they got to find a way to protect him better.
Yeah, Tim, Jake Browning got it done with Joe Burrow out the second half of this matchup. How would you rate his performance?
I think it was up and down. You know, he talked about in the sound you played there about the emotions of, hey, when you get thrown into the game. That definitely happens. But at some point you need to settle down. And so, you know, he had a critical interception and then came back and threw a touchdown. You know, had another interception, came back, had a rushing touchdown. So I think, you know, when they evaluate his performance, it's certainly, you know, going to be like riding a roller coaster. They're going to need solid play out of him, assuming he's got to go for a few weeks. And if that's the case, look, you know, much like the Niners expected Mac Jones to play well, and for the most part he did, I think that's what every team is hoping out of their backup quarterback when they get a chance to play.
I mean, we're resilient. You know, we've, you know, if you look at our roster, you look at a bunch of guys who have been through a lot in their careers, in certain seasons, even if they're young guys. So we're a very resilient group. I keep using that word, but for a good reason. And, you know, with that resiliency, we're going to go out here and just play every snap as its own. And that's all you can do in this game because, you know, being in the league now, this is my 8th season. Like I've seen a lot of football and I've seen games flow and go a bunch of different ways. And so when you just keep your head down and keep playing every single play as its own, good things happen.
We're close in a lot of plays, and it's probably one person. Sometimes it was me, sometimes it's somebody up front, sometimes it's perimeter. But we just got to own our mistakes and be very accountable to each other and take this kick in the chin the right way, be a professional about it, and come to work this week and move on and get ready for New England.
Let's bring back in Tim Hasselbeck. Okay, Tim, first week, Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdown passes. This week, 1 touchdown pass and 2 INTs. Didn't go like the first. What was the difference this week?
Well, I think the stat line was a little misleading a week ago. And so, you know, you have to kind of factor that in. And then I don't think like today was as bad as maybe the stat line suggests. Really, the football game changed on the special teams blunder by the Steelers that led to a Seahawks touchdown. I think Aaron Rodgers, you know, at times, you know, showed us that he could still move a little bit. I think that's something that's going to be a struggle for him throughout the season. So between that and then, you know, some drops, some things of that nature, they just weren't able to get it going. But I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play, you know, good enough to have winning football if the other phases of the team can kind of support that. And so you can't have a special teams mistake. You can't get gashed in the run game on defense. And if you do that, then I think you have a chance. But if you don't, and you're expecting Aaron to be, you know, 4 touchdowns a game, Aaron, like that's just not going to happen.
I think it's huge. This game was a big game for us. You know, having falling short last week against the Green Bay Packers. You go against, you know, another good opponent in the Bears, a divisional game. You gotta come out on top. It's a must win. It was a must win for us, and we did that.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's as good as they get in our league. He's a stud. He does everything in the run game, everything in the pass game. As reliable of a player I've ever thrown to in my life. We've got a pretty good chemistry going on now for our fifth year, and it's been fun.
You know, we got explosives that we needed. St. Brown got us going. I thought Jared Goff played lights out. And more importantly, this offensive line played, I thought, a really, really good game, man. Protection, run game, they really got us going. And then defensively, man, we get the takeaways, 3 takeaways. It's huge. And 4th down stops. So it was just, man, you talk about complimentary football. We did that. And it's a good win.
This was the 3rd time since the start of last season that the Lions have scored 50 points in the game. That matches the franchise's total from their first 94 seasons combined. Over these last 2 regular seasons, all other NFL teams have scored 50 just once. Herm Edwards back here with us. And Herm, there was a lot of noise about the Lions' offensive struggles in Week 1 against Green Bay. Then they put up 52 against their former offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson. How did the Lions bounce back offensively?
Well, they sent a message to the league and to the NFC North that the Lions they're roaring again. When you score 52 points in professional football, that's a lot of points. And they look like the Lions. They look like the real Lions. They got the run game going, I thought. The run game really ignites this offense. Jared Goff is very comfortable when the run game gets going in the play-action pass. All of a sudden becomes a big weapon for them. I think the first week, they lost their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. Obviously, he's with the Chicago Bears right now. And I think that had a little something to do with it as well. But the Lions are roaring again. 52 points, that's a lot of points.
Man, it felt like it took them a little while to kind of right their ship again without Ben Johnson Week 1. But, man, the Lions we saw today is just like the Lions we saw last year.